pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. It is an honor to have the opportunity to welcome you to our 15th annual Veteran Salute program. Many of you may have engaged in discussions and even heated discussions concerning our nation's monetary debt and the need to balance the country's budget. There is another debt issue that we want you to think about today and to resolve within yourself to help repay. The debt I am referring to is not a monetary debt, but a debt of gratitude and respect that we owe to all of our veterans who have served or are serving to help protect the freedoms and liberties that are provided for in the United States Constitution. Our program today is designed to cause all of us to reflect on the sacrifices of our veterans and to inspire an effort in all to repay our debts to veterans. I do, however, want you to remember that our debt to veterans is not something that we can pay and receive a paid in full statement. No, our debt of gratitude and respect for heroes that have served our nation must last forever, and it should also not just occur on November 11th. This is the least we can do, since too many of our veterans, our nation was important enough to endure long separations from their families, miss the births of their children, freeze in sub-zero temperatures, bake in wild jungles, lose limbs, and far too often lose their lives. Our Veterans Salute today is in advance of the formal recognition of Veterans Day that is to occur all over the country on November 11th. How is it that on November 11th has become a special day in so many countries around the world to recognize our veterans? Cadet De La Rosa will read the origins of Veterans Day.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cadet De La Rosa, and I will be reading What and When is Veterans Day. Veterans Day takes place on the 11th of November every year. Veterans Day is celebrated all over the country with parades, celebrations. One big national celebration takes place at Arlington National Cemetery. During this celebration, the president places a wreath at the Tomb of Unknowns. After this, a bugler sounds taps, which is followed by a parade that includes many veterans groups. Veterans Day takes place on the 11th because in 1918, at 11 a.m. of that day, World War I ended. That was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month and became known as Armistice Day, or was until a Second World War broke out. The first Veterans Day parade was held in 1947. A man named Raymond Weeks helped to organize it in Birmingham, Alabama, in order to honor all America's veterans for their loyal service. Then in 1954, President Eisenhower made Veterans Day a national celebration And so now every year on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the President places a wreath at the tomb of unknowns in all Americans' honor, those who have fought and died to serve our country. Thank you.
Today we have learned how November 11th became a special day to recognize veterans. Now let's address the question of what is a veteran. This is a question that many of you may have asked your parents or another adult at some point in time. The answer is much deeper than one found in the dictionary, one who has served in the armed forces for 180 days or more. The much deeper meaning, I believe, can be found in a poem to be presented by Cadet Nauer. Her presentation will be followed by performance from the band.
Good evening, I'm Cadet Nauer. When you see someone in uniform, someone who served us all, doing military duty, answering the country's call, take a moment to protect them. For protecting what you hold dear, tell them how proud you are of them. Make it very clear. Just tap them on the shoulder, give them a smile, and say, "Thank you for what you're doing to keep us safe in the USA."
veterans. I'm Cadet Valentine. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. In the armed forces of the United States, the flag is raised and lowered daily in a ceremonious manner. When the flag is lowered, it is folded in a triangle fold consisting of 13 folds and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. In today's flag folding ceremony, we are assigning a meaning to each fold to show respect and reverence for the history, values, and freedoms of our nation, which is represented by the flag, and the commitment of our veterans to defend our nation. As we begin the ceremonial fold with our honor guard, assisted by select students, teachers, and staff, I ask that you remain extremely quiet throughout the ceremony. Fold 1. The 13 stripes represent the original 13 states: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. Fold 2. The 50 stars represent our 50 United States of America. Fold 3. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. Fold 4. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Thomas Paine. Fold 5. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaration of Independence. Fold 6. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. United States Constitution. Fold 7. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. First Amendment. Fold 8. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and to alter their constitutions of government. George Washington. Fold 9. My God, how little do my countrymen know what precious blessings they are in possession of, and which no other people on earth enjoy. Thomas Jefferson. Fold 10. fourscore and 7 years ago, our Father brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Abraham Lincoln. Fold 11. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus, inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Fold 12. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Fold 13. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King, Jr. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under George Washington, and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
Ready, face, forward, march.
Good afternoon. I'm Cadet Command Sergeant Major Elias reading you the bio of our guest speaker. Lieutenant Colonel Retired Retired Maurice L. McDougall is a senior Army instructor of the Army JROTC at Millbrook Wildcat Battalion. He was commissioned as Second Lieutenant Chemical Corps Officer after completing SROTC through the Campbell University Fighting Camels program. Prior to commissioning, he served as 19D Cavalry Scout, a Scout for Life. Past assignments include tours with the 4/67 Armored Battalion, 83rd Chemical Battalion, 1/1 Cavalry Regiment, the 25th Chemical Company, 513th and the 525th Military Excellence. He also served as Chief Training Division and Chief Homeland Defense and Force Protection, and Inspector General. He has earned a bounty of awards and decorations to include the Kentucky Colonel Recognition, which is the highest title of honor bestowed by the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Commissions for Kentucky Colonels are given by the Governor and Secretary of State to individuals in recognition of noteworthy accomplishments and outstanding services to a community, state, or nation. Education includes numerous military schools and a Bachelor of Science, Criminal Justice minor, Sociology minor, Pre-Law, a Master of Science in Human Services, a Doctor in Education and Counseling, and he is also a graduate of Harnett Central High School. Without further ado, I introduce to you Lieutenant Colonel Retired Maurice L. McDougall.
Good afternoon, Trojans. Let's try it again. Good afternoon, Trojans. I know one thing's for sure, Harnett Central has not lost its level of expertise. This is a beautiful event you guys got going on here. Let me begin by offering my appreciation to Harnett Central, your principal, Ms. Catherine Jones, who is also a Harnett Central grad, and your JROTC cadre, Chief Hickson and First Sergeant Cannon. And this outstanding JROTC cadre for the opportunity to speak to you all on such an important occasion. I'm especially honored, as I also am a Harnett Central graduate, and today I remain a proud Trojan. I grew up here in Littleton. I attended Harnett Central, where I was fortunate enough to participate in numerous athletics, and under the amazing coach Samuel Bell, I held a 300-meter hurdle and multiple relay team top finishes in the state for at least a few decades. Harnett Central has a rich academic and athletic tradition of graduating numerous students that have went on to make great accomplishments in life, your principal being one of those. With this said, I'm honored that there is a laundry list of other former Trojans that could have been invited. I recall great teachers, probably all have retired, hopefully there's one still here, Ms. Hackenbrock, she was my math teacher. Ms. Libby Smith, English. Ms. Christian Johnson, English. Mr. Glenn Hood, history. There was a Mr. Stringfield, biology. Mr. Fish, math. Mrs. Godwin, she was Spanish. Mr. Jerry Ennis was the principal when I was here. And then, of course, the legendary Samuel Bell, he was the African American histories and also physical education. And Miss Parker, we had a cooking class. She showed us how to cook. And also had a counselor by the name of Miss Vera Jones. She was the counselor then. I recall sitting down with her and she told me what I needed to do to get into college and how to continue forward. But now today, we're celebrating Veterans Day on the anniversary of armistice ending World War I, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918, nearly 100 years ago from today. On November 11, 1918, the First World War officially ended. A year later, American President Woodrow Wilson formally instituted Armistice Day to honor the brave hearts who died during the war. However, during the Second World War, veteran Raymond Weeks from Birmingham, Alabama had a different vision. In 1945, Weeks announced that on 11 November, we shall honor all veterans, those that died, gave the ultimate sacrifice, and those that served and are yet still living. Henceforth, 2 years later, the first Veterans Day was observed, paying tribute to all those who served the military during war. To all the members of the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Army, and all the reserve forces. And we can't forget their families of the armed service members. I'm honored to spend a portion of today's program with you. In this time of continued conflict, we are reminded that the generations serving today already deserve a place alongside previous generations for the courage they have displayed and the sacrifices that they and their families have made. In an era where we see so many acts of only self-interest, those that willfully choose to join the armed forces have chosen the interests of others. They chose this above themselves. In spite of the knowledge that they will be in the way of harm and danger, they chose to serve a cause greater than self. Since the birth of America in 1776, this is a very little known fact. We have been in some form of armed conflict at various levels more than 90% of the time. When veterans enter into service to serve and protect in spite of these known dangers. Since 9/11, the services have endured tour after tour after tour after tour. I've done about 5 tours myself to protect our citizens from danger and giving others a better chance of happiness and freedom. So to all the veterans, to the fallen and to their families, there is no tribute, no commemoration, no offer of gratitude that can truly match the magnitude of your service and your sacrifice. I want to pause for one brief moment and ask all the veterans if they will please stand and be recognized. Just as we have gathered here today, people all across the country are gathering to reflect and tell stories that need to be told. Stories of wars whose names have come to define eras and battles that echo throughout history. Stories of a great-grandfather who fought in World War I. Stories of a grandfather who fought in World War II. A brother who fought in Korea. A friend who fought in Vietnam. An uncle who fought in Desert Storm. A mother who fought in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And a sister who fought in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. When these men and women come home, they continue a life of service as evidenced by the many that serve right here in our Harnett County education system. It amazes me that all of the medals and the recognition received by these men and women rightfully earned during peace and times of conflict are often placed in a safe box and only displayed on a wall that's not frequently visited. These service members simply choose to remain humble about their military service and move on to other phases of life. My father, he was a veteran of World War II, Korea, and also Vietnam. Although he spoke a lot about the teamwork and friendships that he made during his tours, it was only at his death that the multiple shoeboxes containing his medals, plaques, and certificates were discovered. Now, we call this a holiday, but for many veterans, it's a day of reflection. Reflecting on the troops that continue to be in harm's way. Reflecting on the missed family days as they fought our nation's wars. Reflecting on the wounded soldiers that are still recovering today. So while it's important that we celebrate this day, it is important to remember to support veteran rights. George Washington once wrote, "When we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen." Just as the service and contribution of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and the Coast Guard have made to our nation while in uniform, we should remember our obligation to them. In closing, let me leave you with this poem that was read earlier today. When you see someone in uniform, someone who serves us all, doing military duty, answer their country's call, take a moment to thank them for protecting what you hold dear. Tell them you are proud of them, make it very clear. Just tap them on the shoulder, give a smile and say, "Thanks for what you're doing to keep us safe in the USA." God bless you all.
Lieutenant Colonel Maurice McNeil, that was a great speech. Could you return to the podium? At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to present you with a small token of appreciation for taking the time out to support our program.
Good afternoon, I am Cadet Ashley Resendez. I would
would like all veterans to move to the rear of the gym and fall in behind their service flag. At this time, I am going to assume the role of each military branch and provide you with some information about the history and traditions of each branch. I am considered to be the nation's first Navy. I am a fleet of ships which carries imports and exports during peacetime and become a naval auxiliary during wartime to deliver troops and war material. My motto is, in peace or war. Americans who serve in my force are called Mariners, just like the professional baseball team, but never Marines. My official song is Heave Ho, My Lad. I am the Merchant Marines. I was originally created on August 4th, 1790, under the Treasury Department to enforce custom laws. Today, I am organized under the Department of Homeland Security. I protect the nation's shores from illegal entry of goods and personnel. Our motto is Semper Paratus, or always ready. The title of our march song bears the same name. The official colors of our services are blue and white. I am the United States Coast Guard. I was established as a separate military service on September 18, 1947. My mission is to defend the United States through their control of exploration of the air and space. I am responsible for all military satellites and control all of our nation's strategic nuclear ballistic missiles. Airman Mike Lebowski, who now is a teacher at your school, provided valuable service to my force as Lord Master for my C-141 Starfleet lifter. They wore my official colors of ultramarine blue and golden yellow with great pride. I am the United States Air Force. My official birthday is October 13, 1775, and the Founding Fathers provided for my creation in Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. During times of peace, I am an instrument of international relations, and my presence in some instances have been helpful in keeping a crisis from developing into a war. Chief Swan Adams, who now dazzles you with his culinary skills, was equally adept as a chef aboard my carrier vessel 67, the USS John F. Kennedy, as the captain's chef. Another proud member of my service that now works at your school is Chef Pearl. Anchors Away is my marching song, and my colors are blue and gold. I am the United States Navy. I was created by the resolution sponsored by John Adams on November 10, 1775. You guessed it, my birthday is next Monday. Since establishment, my operations have been closely linked to the Navy. I am the only service tasked by Congress to be able to operate combined arms in 3 dimensions: air, land, and sea. My force prides itself in being self-sufficient. We are the few, the proud. My service hymn is called the Marine Corps hymn, and the first line contains the stirring words, "From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles." The colors of my service are scarlet and gold, and our motto is Semper Fidelis, or always faithful. I am the United States Marine Corps. I am the oldest of the military services, and my birthday is June 17th, 1775. I am the only service with unbroken linkage to the Revolutionary War. I have an active National Guard and a reserve component. Combined, these components have more than 1 million Americans combined into duty. This makes me the largest of the military services. One interesting fact that you may not know about my service is that the youngest Medal of Honor recipient in history belonged to my service. He was William Willie Johnston, a drummer from the 3rd Vermont Infantry during the Civil War, and he was just shy of his 11th birthday when he earned the Medal of Honor. My service song, "The Army Goes Rolling Along," was first dedicated on Veterans Day in 1957. Army Strong veterans at the Harnett Central are Chief Hickson, Mr. Pilkington, and Anthony Cannon. The official colors of my service are black and gold. I am the United States Army. If you are a family member of a veteran, please stand at this time and be recognized for your contributions. Let's give all of our veterans and family members a standing ovation. You may be seated, and the service flag bearers with their respective veterans may depart.
Right, ready, forward, one.
Please direct your attention towards the screen.
has a smooth, tender, and touching character. The bugle call was written during the Civil War by General Butterfield, with an assistance from his bugler, Oliver W. Norton, in 1862. Taps went on from its origin as an alternative to lights out to become not only a signal that the day was done, but also to say goodbye to a fallen comrade. Taps is customarily played at funerals at Arlington National Cemetery, as well as at ceremonies at the Tomb of the Unknowns there. The words to taps are as follows. Fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky, gleaming bright. From afar, drawing nigh, falls the night. Day is done, gone the sun. From the lake, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. Then good night, peaceful night. For the light of dawn shineth bright. God is near, do not fear, friend, good night. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as taps is played for your honor to fallen veterans.
Thank you so very much for your cooperation. One last thing that I want to do before giving way to the senior Army instructor and Ms. Jones is to convey my appreciation to the participants in our 15th annual Veterans Day poster and essay contest. If members of the DAV will please come to the stage. The winner of each is to receive $50. The posters and essays were judged by a 3-member panel of veterans from the community. When I announce the winner, I would like for he or she to stand and be recognized. The contest winner is Carmen Hood, or the essay contest winner, Carmen Hood.
Let's go, raise wall.
The poster contest had a large number of entrants and the competition was very competitive. The contest winner is Angel Sneed. Congratulations. As I take my leave, I want to thank all of you for your cooperation and participation in today's program. I am proud to be a Trojan and United Strength is Stronger class of 2019.
Okay, I'm losing my voice here and be real quick there. Very nice ceremony today, 15th annual. I just want to give thanks to a couple of people that helped us out. We have, well, thank you to all the cadets and the staff that helped us make this Salute to Veterans ceremony a success. Mr. Jones, thank you very much. Mr. Booker, Mrs. Monroe, Mr. Honeycutt, Mr. Jones, outstanding work, thank you. Mrs. Williamson, Mrs. Null, Mr. Honeycutt, Mr. Hocutt, Mr. Milliron, First Sergeant, and the hardest working cadets in North Carolina. And finally, I want to convey a special thanks to the best booster club on the planet, to Mrs. Maher, Mrs. Lopez, Mrs. Blanca, and Mrs. Hadwin. Please give them a round. So this ends our ceremony today. However, there's a couple people that kind of didn't get recognized. All the veterans that we have here is, of course, First Sergeant Ken and myself, Kane Marshall, Mr. Pilkington, Mr. Lebowski, Chef Pearl, Chef Adams, Mr. Allen, Mr. Farrell, Ms. Noel, Mr. Pullen, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Wallace, and Mrs. Nolan. So give them a round of applause, please. Special thanks to the DAB too. Thank you very much. I'd like to give the mic over to our principal, Mrs. Jones.
I'm very, very impressed with this ceremony. I have to say that in my 22 years, I don't think I've ever been to a Veterans Day ceremony that's quite this wonderful. I'd like to thank our JROTC leaders and cadets for all that they've done. Let's give them a round of applause. As I sat and listened, I lost my father about a month ago, and he was a veteran, and they actually played taps at his funeral, and it was just very touching. Kind of this Veterans Day has a different meaning than it usually does. But please remember to thank those that serve our country and give us the freedoms that we have. I think a lot of that we take for granted, and I just want you to remember that as you go about, and as you're out of school on Monday to celebrate Veterans Day, please remember why we celebrate it. And remember all those families that have paid the ultimate sacrifice and have lost loved ones. I can think of many students. I thought it was very fitting that Ethan came up and spoke because I taught Ethan twice, and I can remember his dad being deployed both times that I taught him. So there are a lot of families that really pay that price of not having their family members close by so that we have those freedoms. So please remember that as you leave today. I'd